let's talk about the race data and how the race went. So I was nervous, but also kind of expecting a similar outcome. I haven't swum in a wetsuit in well over a year. I was hoping to have a sleeveless wetsuit. Some people noticed on my pictures, my upper body, my arms are a little bit bigger. I think I did a few too many push-ups and pull-ups during quarantine time, but it definitely affected me in the swim. My wetsuit was a little tight on me. I wasn't able to push as hard as I wanted to, so I had a less than impressive swim. I think a sleeveless wetsuit would have made a huge difference to me. Got one of those coming from Tier. Probably will show up this week. So a little late for that race, but should be good for the next race. For other guys with bigger chest and shoulders, arms, sleeveless wetsuit can be a lifesaver just from the amount of restriction you feel. So I didn't have a great swim, but I got out with Matt Hansen and got on the bike. I struggled pretty early on. I put my gloves on and my feet in my shoes, and had some problems. It was really cold out, so my visor fogged up pretty quick on me. But I also, it just took me a while to get into the right pace and kind of put out the amount of power that I needed to do. So what did that ride look like? So on my Wahoo Element bike computer, I had a 56-minute ride, 25 miles, and a TSS of 66. I had an average power of 298 watts, average heart rate of 149, a max heart rate of 157, and a max power of 493. So that puts my average speed at 26.7 miles per hour. My norm power, I don't remember what that was. It was slightly over 300, which that's pretty low. I mean, that would be low 70.3 power for me normally. A lot closer to my Ironman power than anything else, but it's what I had for fitness, and it's what I put out on the bike. All right, so now I want to talk a little bit about a software analysis tool that I've used for a very long time, a little over 6 years. I've been using BestBikeSplit.com. You get a lot of stuff for free if you want to just kind of play around with it, but this kind of stuff that I'm talking about is part of a premium account, which I've had for the past 6 years. I totally geek out on it. I love every bit of it. What you can do is just amazing with this, but it takes into effect rolling resistance and advanced weather metrics, road surfaces, geography, whether it's a plain, a desert, cornfields in Indiana, does all this, and it tells you how you should pace a race, and it also helps you calculate your goal time or your goal power for each race that you want to do. So it's pretty cool. Uploaded this data, so you can see the screenshot here, the start date and time. Distance 24.97 miles, 56 minutes 2 seconds, average speed 26.73 miles per hour. My average power, my norm power, all that stuff is in there. It tells me the average yaw for that race was negative 6.14 degrees / 5.85 degrees. And then my average CDA for the entire thing, meaning start to finish, was 0.2407. My average rolling resistance, CRR, was 0.004944. The elevation change was negative 784, positive 783, so you can see that's pretty accurate. My sustained descent speed was 33.85 miles per hour. So not super hilly. There were a couple little hills on the course, but my current CDA based off all the races that I analyzed is locked in at 0.2127. And my estimated CDA from this race was 0.2185. And so that is 0.0058 slower than what my current is. And what does that account for? Well, one, I'm used to using a brand new ice chain, so I didn't have that. So that's a little drivetrain loss. It can affect my CDA. But the big difference was I had gloves on. So one, took some time putting the gloves on, but two, I rode with gloves, and that's obviously a leading edge drag, and so that's kind of the big difference. But just to kind of give you an example, BestBikeSplit did some analysis with Joe Skipper, and Joe was only able to get his CDA down to 0.22. Just for comparison's sake, I think when Graham O'Brien broke the hour record in the famous Superman position, I think he got his CDA down to 0.1685. Broke the hour record in July of 1993. Pretty cool stuff, but yeah, that's what's cool. As you can see, I was able to ride 56 minutes in a 40K on 298 basically watts. So that's how you're calculating that CDA, and it's really pretty cool to see that I was able to ride as fast as I was on such little power. Attribute that to my position, attention to details, and then obviously my bike. It was my first pro race on the Mogul, so I was pretty stoked about that. And that was the bike. It felt pretty good. It was still pretty fast. I was 5th off the bike in the race, and did more than half the run in 5th place before I was eventually passed for 6th, and then the last very lap I was passed by the fastest run split of the day for 7th. But anyway, I got off the bike in 5th place and felt pretty good on the run. Obviously I don't have a ton of volume in and have not done any intensity on the run, but again, years of endurance training really matter when you're doing something like this. And if this was a race in a normal year with a pretty elite field, I would never even thought about starting this race because I would have got my clock cleaned. Wouldn't even been worth it to show up. But knowing that there's only a handful of guys that have been training at full intensity, ready to race on short notice, I thought, why not? I'd give it a try. I can drive out there and have a go at it. Overall, it was pretty evenly split aside from the very first few miles. And then my run, I was happy with my run. It was far from perfect. I was hoping I ran just under a 17-minute 5K at the Simon Sprint Triathlon, and I didn't start my watch on time, so I only had 5.76 miles that I ran in 32:45. 5:36 average pace, average heart rate 157, max heart rate 166. But that's kind of where I am for fitness right now. So it's been a nice change, and because of it, I'm not hurt. I feel pretty fresh, and still don't know when the next race will be or what's going to be offered, but it was fun to get out to Huntington, Indiana. Special thanks to the PTO, the Professional Triathletes Organization, for the prize purse for the race up, and to Zach Rubel Racing, Rubel Timing, for hosting the race, because it was cool. And if you're interested, the next video that we're going to put out are going to be the top 5 tips that you can do to have a faster bike split, make your bike faster. 5 tips, so check that video out when it's available. Thanks for tuning in. Check out the bestbikesplit.com to totally geek out on all your triathlon bike performance needs.